Be live now. I should be just off of the screen. I'll talk in a second. Check. One, mine speaking on yours. Cool. Sweet. Minimize that. Yeah. Like that. Oh, very good. All my windows popped up. But yeah, I was surprised buying a bit of Bitcoin and the price turned up. Price turned up. This is unusual behavior. I'm scared. Very suspicious. Turns out I actually sold instead of buying.
Actually sold the entirety of it.
Okay, I see Patricia in the chat. Hola.
Hi. Good.
Doesn't sound right at all, does it? Let me see what I can do. Yes, it's capturing it. Everything must have changed. Right. Yeah, yeah, that's capturing it through the real thing. Yeah, of course. There we go. All right. Hopefully, we're sounding a little bit better now.
Let's hear it.
Everything must have changed. Very echoey. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Say oye echo. Alright, hopefully we're sounding a little bit better now.
It's a big background noise though.
Yeah, that's I need to try and figure out what that is. I don't know.
Yes.
Say oye
echo.
Even that sounds shouldn't be that much though.
Hopefully we're sounding a little bit better now.
It's a big background noise though.
Yeah, that's I need to try and figure out what that is. I don't know. Yes.
I'll just turn that down.
Yeah, I can see it in here where it's what can I do to fix that? Can you just keep it going? And I'm just going to fiddle with some knobs and you just tell me if you see that bar.
Yeah, I can see it in here.
That's a default when it's just like that around there. If you just see that, go down or do anything. Let me know.
Can you just keep it going? And I'm just going to fiddle with some knobs. If you see that bar. That's a default when it's just like
Yeah, it's going down a bit. What we did then.
What about now?
Yeah, it's much lower. No, honestly, it's still the same when I'm talking. Still the same. Nah, no change on the. Yeah, it's. No, honestly, it's still the same when I'm talking. Still the same.
What about now?
Same.
Was it this bad this morning?
No change on the. Nah, definitely not. I couldn't hear it at all. Yeah. No, honestly, it's still the same when I'm talking. Still the same.
I took out your mic completely.
Same. Turn it off.
No, just I took it out already, so it doesn't matter.
All right.
Was it this bad this
No change on. Nah, definitely not. I couldn't hear it at all. There's no improvement on there. Still the same on the background front. Same. Turn it off.
No, just I took it out already, so it doesn't matter.
All right.
Then it could be mine.
No change on. Nah, definitely not. I couldn't hear it at all. There's no improvement on there. Same over on that side. No.
Now?
Same over on that side. Same over on there. No, it's still. I wonder if it's software static. Like if it's not even the hardware, if it's something about it when it loaded in the internet or something. We could just try to do another restart.
Sure, we could.
I wonder if it's software static.
Yeah, let me
Like if it's not even the hardware, if it's
delete
something about it.
these things. Could just be
We just try to do another restart.
get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. These things could just be Hey, that's capturing too high. Nah, still shit.
Mm.
I wonder. Let me try changing. Yeah, I can still see it now. I wonder if it's because the software that I was using. Yeah, it's still just going to be hanging out there. Just trying to think what else I could. So the software that I was using this morning, I have a feeling it might automatically dampen that down. So this has got no filters on it. It's not running through anything. It's still just going to be hanging out there. Just trying to think what else. So the software that I was using this morning, I have a feeling it might. I mean, it's because you're turning it up really loud as well. No filters on it. You'd normally listen to it at.
Yeah, that's true. Although even not like...
Yeah, obviously it's still there.
Obviously it's more when it's like loud.
I mean, that it's really easy to fix up post. So maybe let's just run with it for now, and I'll spend some more time trying to figure it out. Let me plug this back in. What a schmozzle, eh?
Schmozzle.
Yeah, obviously it's still there. I mean, it's really easy to fix up post. So maybe let's just run with it for now, and I'll spend some more time trying to figure it out. Let me plug this back in. What a schmozzle, eh?
Schmozzle.
Yo, Karen speaking here. Speaking, can you speak to me?
Test.
Okay, yeah, it should be alright. And here, it's alright. As long as it's somewhat going. Yo, Karen speaking here. Speaking. Yeah, cool. Alright, ready to rumble?
Let's do it.
No, I'll try and add this thing so we can have the add audio output capture, add source, get the speaker real tech. Alright, hopefully this will have the capture the noises.
Let's do
it. Don't know what you're brainstorming. Thanks Nathaniel.
Yeah.
We're being picky.
Pat on the line as well was telling me that my mum was telling me that she couldn't also like notice it. So
it's not too bad.
I don't know.
We're just being picky right now.
Maybe.
All right, cool. Let's let me just bring the screen up so I can see if the little chat just there. And right, you ready to rumble?
Let's roll it.
Here we go.
Certainly are mere mortalized. Now we are slightly late to this 7 o'clock musings that we normally run live, and that's because we had some technical difficulties. No matter what though, we're going to continue on. So if you're listening to this post, you're probably going to get a better experience, but that is just how we roll in the mere mortals here.
Just slightly.
It is the 13th of September here in Brizzy on a Wednesday. You got one on this side.
And Kyron here on the other.
And this is a musings conversation where we talk about a particular topic, something that we've had in mind, that we've had a conversation about. Now, you reached out to me, asked me last week what we're going to talk about. First thing that came to mind, and it is due to one of your goals as well, monthly goals around relationships.
Yes.
You are utilizing an app, so dropping in some hints here.
Dating app.
You know, we're going to be talking about dating apps and your experiences with it. You know, you've paid for one. This is a new experience for both of us. I've never done it.
Yeah.
This is your first time, so we're going to get some learnings. If you're in the chat, there's a couple of people in there. If you've done that, let us know. Tell us about it and your experiences. Or post, send us through a Boostgram or anything else. Stay tuned if you don't know what that is. We can talk through and try to support you towards the tail end. But I want to kick it off in terms of relationships by putting a guidelines of what I wanted to be talking about today. So primarily, it's romantic relationships, not family relationships or business relationships, familial, whatever you want to call it. Romantic, that's one aspect of it. So that's the construct. Two, we're not particularly going to be dropping any personal names of nature. Don't think it's even useful or needed into this particular conversation. But I wanted to start us off with a guiding post of sorts to at least go from somewhere. And it's, do you remember the first time that you yourself, from a romantic relationship perspective, it either switched in your mind that you wanted to have a romantic relationship, or what that meant to you at that particular time? So that's a very big query here. But we want to talk about romantic relationship and setting some guidelines, some posts. Can you remember a relative time, year, age, late high school, early university, when you went, hey, I'm now looking for a romantic relationship?
Yeah, well, I mean, I probably wanted one about the time I hit puberty, maybe even before that, because when I was in primary school, some of my best friends there, they all had girlfriends. Now it was the kind of tweeny, well, not even teens, you know, they were 11, 12 years old. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, this girl's my girlfriend. Maybe we like kiss on the lips, but you know, there's nothing sexual about it. It's having a girlfriend because maybe that's what the grown-ups do, sort of thing. And that didn't interest me, obviously, because I hadn't hit puberty yet. But the aspect of being like the one left out, I haven't got a girlfriend, that that probably slightly niggled at me.
Okay.
But then, yeah, as soon as puberty hit, I definitely would have wanted at the very least, a sexual connection, and probably the romantic was kind of like tied up with that. It's
Well,
kinda hard
I was
to
going to say
right?
it's kind of hard because, and especially when you're young, you know, the sexual aspect of it and the romantic aspect of it, it's kind of intertwined as well in many a sense.
Dominates your thoughts. You don't know what's going on.
Okay, so I guess for Karen, you know, maybe before the tween stage, it was that, hey, everybody's getting it. You know, I want a partner, basically.
Yeah.
When did it transition for you to know I want a partner, someone that I'm spending time doing things, starting to look towards the future with someone?
Yeah, it was probably about the same time I got the first girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
First girlfriend I had, so I was a really late bloomer in many ways, and people would probably know that if they've listened long enough. So we met when I was either 20 or 21. Can't remember which, 18, 19, 20, probably 21, maybe even 22. Jeez. And that was where it was, well, obviously getting like consistent sex was great, but it was very much like, oh, this is what it's like to just, you know, have someone who's like in your corner, like they've got your back. You can just call them up, have fun with them. You don't need a reason to hang out. You're just hanging out because you're with them. So it was probably experiencing that was like, yeah, wow, this is amazing. So I needed to experience it to know if I wanted it or not, I guess. So it's about that kind of like chicken and the egg thing. You've got to get a girlfriend to know what it's like to have a girlfriend, sort of deal.
True.
So yeah, I'd say that was probably the first time. Look, the first girlfriend I had, it's not like it scarred me from having girlfriends. It was like, oh, okay, this is a nice experience. I enjoyed this.
Did you go into it with that particular one being like, oh yes, I'm going into it as this is going to be my first relationship, or just became a first relationship?
Yeah, it kind of became.
Okay, which I think this is going to be a general trend, and so it's good. So you said that. So if you went the other way, I was going to be like, oh shit, I don't know how to relate to this. But mine's the same in a similar way, although mine probably would have been later, given that I sort of came over from Colombia when I was like 9 years old, but I really didn't even know English until probably 12 years old properly to be able to speak to humans. So it was a similar sense where I saw in primary school like people having girlfriends and same thing. You're like, oh, I want that. You know, that sounds kind of cool.
Yep.
I think it was also attached to popularity, so it wasn't necessarily a romantic relationship as opposed to just being deemed as being being a couple. Just being a couple was the thing, not being in a relationship. There was very different things. And in a similar sense, I also kind of stumbled upon my first relationship where it sort of just transitioned into being in a relationship, you know, thinking about it being in a romantic thing, but it just transitioned into that. And it was after that relationship ended, probably, what was that, 22, 23 years old, I think, roughly something like that, where it was for me probably the beginnings of, oh, I got to experience what a relationship was like. Okay, this is like when I'm interacting with people, moving towards the romantic relationship side, this is what I can expect, or this is what I want, or why you would want that sort of aspect of it. So many ways we can go with this particular conversation with it, but I do. So we got the baseline. But I want to hear more directly. I want to ask this question. You're currently using Hinge, and you've paid for Hinge.
Yes.
Now, in the scope of romantic relationships, so specifically, I kind of want to get you to articulate to audience and me. What is it that you look for in a relationship now, given some of the experiences you've had, and has using applications like apps for dating facilitated that, benefited you? Any stories around that?
So just in terms of history-wise, I've used apps maybe twice or three times before. Always has been just I'm going to try this thing. Always came into it being, fuck this thing. I don't really want to use it. But, you know, it was kind of helpful when I first went to Latin America just to meet some girls. I mean, you should be able to do it whilst traveling, but meeting some like local girls, I guess. And I suppose this gets to slightly related to the topic of dating changes over the years. Like, has technology changed things as well? But I suppose the original question was just, I personally don't like them. I find it doesn't hit my strong suits. Texting is not my strong suit. I'm not the
True.
wittiest
That's true.
texter. I'm not probably. I don't know how people do it from this. What I come out from these is just like there's a lot of people and they all do various different things, and so you're interacting with a lot of people who. Some girls will text really frequently. Some will drag it out over days, and you won't hear anything. Some will perhaps be expecting you to start a conversation really deeply and quickly and get to the point, and others will not want that. And I think probably just in day-to-day life, if you're meeting people, you're probably already filtering out a lot of these, so you're kind of connecting with people who you're going to be on a similar vibe with anyway. Whereas with these, that instant communication with them, you're just butting up against real different communication styles really quickly. That's kind of what I've noticed a little bit from this recent experience with it.
But so then specifically, and I've got a funny article that I found actually today that we can talk about maybe in a moment, but specifically on the relationship side though, for you, have you found, and maybe give me that experience, a dating app like Hinge on its own versus the paid version? Honestly, I don't even know what the functionalities are extra that are with that. Has that helped you filter or specify more specifically for the type of person or the relationship that you want?
All of them will have different things. So I'm using Hinge at the moment. And what this does is like, it's absolutely brutal, but it's basically like, it just sorts you from the chaff, I guess. Sure. Because it does a thing where it's like a priority like. So if you like a girl, you'll go to the very top of their list.
When you're paying. Sure, okay, yep.
And it's very much I think it maximizes the kind of worst qualities of human beings in many ways, these things, because it's very, I think it's very looks driven. Obviously it's based around your photo. So it's just gonna, if you're good looking, you're just gonna gravitate towards an overabundance, and if you're kind of average looking, you'll hear crickets. Sure. So when I was using it without paying, I was hearing crickets. Right. I'm a pretty average looking dude. And even whilst paying, I would say I'm standing out. It's not even like the standing out and then they can see like, oh, you might suit some qualities that they like or something. It's like you're just maybe another one of the guys who is paying who's slightly standing out. It's very, I don't know.
For qualities, and say name with the experience that you've had. I know it's sounding a lot like Karen right now. Me interviewing Karen a few things, but I can share some things about my side. But from your perspective, let's just say a quality that you might be looking for in a partner romantically from a long-term perspective. Let's just say they want a family. Right, cool. Just blanket one. Is it helping you achieve to find people who are also equally looking for that? Like, so let you filter, or are you even using for that purpose?
I think it can. It can. Once again, it's getting into the particularities of Hinge, which I don't really want to focus on too much. It's kind of boring, to be honest, because they all have their variation. So we'd just be talking about one of them. This one does let you filter based on ethnicity, and it doesn't let you sort based on what sort of relationship you want, which is kind of funny, to be honest, because I thought I thought that would have been one of the big strong points that you would want. A lot of people, I think, don't know what they want either, which is going to show up in my notes a lot. Yeah. So maybe they would have tried that. I'm sure the engineers at Hinge and like they want all of these people to have. I don't know. They've got a weird model because it's a subscription thing, so they want people using it more. It shows itself as the app to be deleted.
Deleted, yep.
But I mean, geez, you got to make money somehow, and they're it's very hard for companies to focus on the end consumer and doing best by them rather than what's best for their shareholders.
And so here, let me pull back so we don't go into all the details of Hinge because it's not what we're talking about. But so one of the things I found a lot of the times, and I like the interaction or this messaging that said Sometimes you can find people for a weekend, a season, or a lifetime. And that first two segments of find people for a weekend or for a season, I feel like apps and a few other areas in terms of like going to a nightclub or whatever else, that's more attributed to that. But to, at least for me, the way I think about it, in terms of finding a romantic relationship or the things that I'm looking for, especially when it's going to be a long-term plan, and that might be a family or buying a house or having that partner that can support you through life, etc. That isn't found in some of those apps and even in other platforms that you find. Even over above that, I've heard those stories. Like I have heard the stories. Like I know people who, hey, we met on Tinder, whatever, 7 years ago, and now we're married. Awesome. I don't think that's the general consensus of how that would happen, though.
I'm not so sure of that.
Do you think that's that evolution?
I think that's becoming a stronger and stronger part of the society and how people are meeting each other. There's still probably the normal ways, but our normal ways were not normal 40 years ago. So all of these things change over time, and it's, it was only 20 years ago where even the idea of being on a dating app was of like meeting girls through the internet. You're meeting someone through the internet, like
it's
loser,
that's Tinder's an old thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's pull it back all the way from dating. So actually, I don't want to talk so much specifically into dating unless all it's ended up being more so in dating. So relationships then more in general. What have you've told me some attributes?
Let me ask you a question first.
Okay.
Strategy wise, if you were trying to find a life partner, what's your strategy for going about doing that?
Okay. Well, I think first I wouldn't go down the I would, for myself, look to find that individual in areas that I equally play long-term games in.
Yeah.
So that would be fitness-related things. That might be in areas where there's shared
self-improvement sort of things.
Yeah, self-improvement in shared spaces where I might have also a keen interest. That's a long-term thing. Again, we've talked about it from a Bitcoin perspective or otherwise. Going to, or it could be in like a professional sense. Generally, you might find people in the same professional area. That's what you hear about people, getting with each other when you're at work or going in down that path. That also happens because you've got relatively similar people or similar values or behaviors that you might also be exhibiting. So if I was looking to find a lifetime partner, my overall energy in terms of where I'm spending my time would be more prevalent there. Obviously, less being alone at home and doing nothing, but more getting out there. For myself, this very much depends on the person, right? I didn't find or haven't found that interacting with just random people really helped that potential, I guess, statistically, I don't know how overwhelmingly likely it is going to be that I find a random person that is really going to be similarly matched. However, if you're doing that at the correct location or the correct environment, I would say it would be a higher predictability that's going to be probably a person that you could get along with. I think the very beginning, though, is being in the right environment and then having the guts or whatever to actually try to proceed something and not just then be in the corner or letting it pass by. So there's more putting yourself in the position and then taking those actions in those times. I think it probably would begin there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Different to my perspective, which has been, look, I'm not with them now, so obviously they weren't life partners, but you're in a relationship for a fair few years. You're looking more towards that sort of end of the spectrum. So you're running half the race. You're not running the full race. And yeah, I met those girls just random locations, completely random, and it wasn't based on a concerted effort on my part to be in those locations. That being said, I can see how it would work, but it hasn't worked for me like that. But when I was just thinking about strategy as well, I was also thinking about the, I suppose, like qualities and things that are important. And it's really funny because my roommate, who's also single, she was asking me, what do you want, Karen? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
You need a. Well, she was helping me like construct the profile, which is actually very helpful to have a another perspective. Because the things that you think are funny, you just need someone else to look at, and they're like, "That's not funny." It's like, yeah, you're right. That's not funny at all. It's just a random thing. And she's like, you know, what are you looking for? What kind of girl do you want? This sort of thing. And it's just so varied, man. I can't pick a quality where it's like, she has to have this. It's very, because they've just been so different, the relationships I've been in. And so I was just thinking like, okay, well, why didn't they work, for example? And for me, it was probably the biggest thing has been communication is what I've sucked at the most. And it's almost at the point where I'm thinking like, if you just had really good communication skills, you'd probably be a life partner with anyone.
Well, one of my summaries, sort of the whole topic today is going to be probably similar to this, but to try to delve into that, would you say that communication is sort of the meta, the more overall
truth.
like truth? Okay.
Truth is the biggest one.
Like if there was one quality, like if you try to just go one quality of a romantic partner that you want to have, a lifetime partner, it's going to be truth.
Yeah, like they got to be truthful. Yeah, okay. For sure. And
no white lies.
Look, it's a spectrum for this sort of thing, but it's got to be very close to the. Once again, there's differences between like brutal, honest, black truth sort of thing and white lies.
Yeah. Okay. No. This is interesting. Okay, so a similar question back to you then. How would you strategize, or how would you optimize for finding someone that's going to have that particular quality? How would you plan to look for someone who is very much on the spectrum of like, hey, yep, I'm a big truth teller?
I found just two learnings, I suppose. One was the very first relationship I had. I realized relatively early on, like, I didn't want to be with her long term, but I kind of stayed with her, which was just like awful thing to do on my part, you know. She had some warning signs. It wasn't like it was completely out of the blue, but it was very much, you know, I didn't communicate what I wanted, what I really felt deep down, and she also didn't bring up those conflicts. And so, you know, there's small responsibility on her part, large part's me, for sure. And, you know, from what I can tell, I broke her heart, and it felt like shit. It was awful. And I still feel bad about that to this day. One of the biggest like life regrets. That's right up
there. She's our biggest listener though. But yeah. And then like I suppose the other real serious one that I've had was I learned that lesson, and so like blatantly was like, look, this is the biggest thing for me. Like it's got to be a truth. You can't be lying to each other. Can't be keeping secrets and this sort of thing. Like if you're feeling something, like I need to know about it. That sort of deal. Which I think if you just make that really clear up front, you kind of filter out just based on that. And if you notice them not telling truths, well, it's like, well, look, I made this clear. There's something wrong here. So I suppose it's just those sort of interactions where if they're willing to like lie needlessly out of hand, well, you know, there's a good chance they'll be doing that out of hand to you. So yeah, okay. So like, just anything else more on that?
The other thing was like just the learning part was, even if I am completely truthful and as honest as I can be, which I think I was more in the second one, then there's also this other aspect of communication, and this is where it's like I hate conflict. I avoid it like crazy. And
I think I found I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
I
Which
kind
is
of
good.
enjoy conflict.
Look, it's there's good and bad ways for this thing. You know, if you enjoy it too much, you're out there
True, that's
in
another
pubs
problem.
trying to just get into random street fights. What I noticed was, okay, I was avoiding some tough conversations or some like little warning signs where I should have dug deeper onto it, or I should have done some digging, and I didn't. And that left me open for kind of like an unexpected heartbreak. It's like, fuck. All right. Karma's come around. Clean slate again. You know, Like let's the third time lucky. Let's try and do this properly. And so that's kind of like been my two learnings about the truth sort of thing. One, that's the most important thing, and two, you kind of got to work for it as well. Just because you say it, you gotta dig things up.
Be back up.
Yeah.
Now, so for anyone else listening to this, you might not have truth as the thing that you need, but
could be something different.
If it's something different, and I know it'd probably be slightly different for me if I had to think for a few minutes just to be like, what exactly is it? But let's just say it's whatever. Truth, it's looks, it's intelligence, it's compassion, it's emotional intelligence, whatever. Whatever that thing is, how do you go discerning or differentiating between a romantic partner and just going, oh, fuck it. This is just a short-term thing, so I don't care about it, right? And where does the boundary blend? Have you experienced that boundary blending? I definitely have, right? I've been in with people that I'm seeing where things start good, like start in the right path, and then it gets to there's a few telltale signs here that this is not actually meeting what I particularly want in a romantic long-time partner. Now it's a few months in, but I go, okay, I can now see that this is not a romantic partner from all these things that are happening. It's now just a temporary thing. We communicate that. Awesome. Go our separate ways. But at what point would you feel comfortable that maybe there's other attributes that you're really enjoying about the person, but they're lying? And so insert here, you're more like whatever it is, that particular base skill or base attribute that you really want the person to exhibit, that you go, no, I'm going to give them a few more months. I'm going to give them a few more years. I'm going to give them 20 years to see if it comes out because they're just such a great person in another manner. Or is it now for you, like I'm looking at now, not with the past, that if it's like within the first few interactions, they don't have that pretty cemented, almost no matter what, no, that's not a romantic relationship.
It's probably more like that now. The problem that I've always had is I'm so inward looking. If I send a text and they don't reply back, my mind doesn't go,
what do I do?
What's wrong with them?
What's wrong with them? What's wrong with me?
Did they get in like a car accident or something? It's like, no, I must have said something wrong,
right?
Or I did something, which is very, it's so weird because it's very selfish and kind of like arrogant in a way to think that you're having this much impact on the world, but it's such a cruel way of looking inwards as well, where it's not like a I'm so high and mighty sort of deal. It's like a fucking dagger in the side. I think nowadays it's probably more I'll know pretty quickly if there's a chance.
Right, okay.
But honestly, I haven't got to any points where it's like 3 months in and I'm sort of debating. It's always been, if I'm 3 months in, like I'm probably going to be in a relationship with them. So
when people sometimes say, well, every relationship, any person you find, you can have a relationship, you just got to work really hard at it. Would you say, no, not true? Because if it's the wrong person with the wrong attributes, no matter how hard you try, if they're not going to change these particular fundamental things that are important to you, well, there's going forward.
Yeah, my opinion is it needs to be pretty easy going right at the start. It needs to, like, if you're having rocky fights after 2 months, I'm not sure about that.
If that's going to work out.
Yeah. My, once again, just personal opinion on me, but if you're trying to change or fix people relatively early on, first of all, that's just a bad strategy in general, I think, trying to change someone. But if you're thinking about changing them really early on,
that's even worse.
That
should be a big red flag. I've got some funny things from an article that I actually read today. But before we get that, we're actually going to go Boostergram Lounge. We're going to do this right now. Now, for the folks that I tantalizingly said it at the beginning, you can support us through the form of Boostergrams. Here at the Boostergram Lounge, we like to talk through some of the supporters that have been sending through some Satoshis with some comments by the way of Boostergrams. Now, I'm going to make sure I don't miss a few of these Boostergrams like I did in the past. I'll be calling out as well the application that they come from. The majority of them are Fountain, but there's lots of other apps out there now that you can be using, like Curiocaster. What's the one you were sending through today?
Podcast Guru, Podverse, Podfans is also a pretty good one.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Yeah, there's a fair few.
Now, I did read some of this pre-cursory, so hopefully I haven't missed any. And I do believe I'm going to start from the 7th. Yes, 7th of September. Does that sound correct? It does indeed. Cool.
About
So
right,
we got, yep. So first of all, we've got Dave Jones. He's back. Karen, he's back. He's still there. The weekly boost for the Be Immortal Nation, 12,112 sats sent using Cron. We thought he had disappeared, but he revives. Comes back from the dead. He, in fact, what's it called? Zombifies, or whatever it's called. Have you heard that terminology in dating?
No.
You'll hear it shortly. I think it's zombification or something like that.
Okay.
Then we got one from Ainsley.
Well, what does it mean?
Well, you'll see in a moment. You'll see in a moment. Stick around, folks. Ainsley Costello. Woohoo!
Ainsley, hello.
I was talking to Karen about this off air, on our chats, and I really enjoy seeing this boost. No matter how many boosts came through, it was nice to see that we had a conversation, and this kind of proved the point of, hey, this is kind of cool when you're having a conversation. You have a direct person about the conversation reply back to you with some value, and
yes.
I found value in the comment, but obviously in the stats that came through as well. She says, love the healthy debate. Karen is spot on. Listeners matter. Engagement like this matters. I don't get that from any traditional streaming service or even social media. They own the data, the audience, not me. I'm sorry that one didn't enjoy cherry on top. To each his own. I'm so glad you guys are talking about the market and using the song as a solid use case for V4V. The mainstream music industry has many challenges for independent artists that are not addressed here. The future is lightning. And that was 2100 sats sent using Fountain. And honestly, reading that solidified also what you'd said, what I heard about you talking about V4V music, and I went, yeah, that's what it's for. For people like this who, look, I'll say it, and she's called it out. I don't think she's going to be a media superstar to be top ranking ones. But fuck, if it's allowing her to have a good life and the ability to have, 1,000 true fans in an easy way, who's it hurting? No one. It's kind of allowing people who care about her music to support her, doesn't harm anyone, and it's almost it's a small ecosystem that is maintaining itself. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Ainsley.
Thanks, Ainsley. Much appreciated. Let me jump in with one. This was actually one from the 10th of August. So it's a fair while ago. And you're like, Kyron, why are you bringing up one from so long ago?
Yes.
Well, it's a boost. It's not a boostergram because they didn't have a message with it.
Oh.
But we missed it because it didn't have the message, so it didn't go to our normal place. But this absolute mad lad called Panic Ketchup sent us 45,000 sats. Just no message attached. So very much thank you to them. I don't know if they know about the t-shirt thing. They're halfway there, basically.
That's wild.
And yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's I'm only going to catch that in the end of month recap where I collect all the data and stuff. So yeah, mad shout out to Panic Ketchup. Thank you so much for that, mate.
That's wild. Thank you very much. We've got one from Peter. This is 2,222 sats. Royal Ducks sent using Fountain. Will a musician get rich from V4V Bitcoin streaming? Unlikely. Bitcoin is tiny, growing but still tiny. Will a musician get some hardcore superfan engagement who also values freedom money? Hell yes. Side note, Ainsley is incredible.
Yes.
There you go. So there's I guess a supporting comment there, Peter, to Ainsley's post as well.
Yeah.
Would you have Ainsley on a podcast or anything like that?
I sent a message out to her. It's a tricky one because there's a pretty big age difference, 12 years. She's very smart, obviously, with the message she's been sending and stuff, but it's maybe on her end. It's kind of cool. It would maybe be just an off-air type of deal, but yeah, she's cool. And I mean, shit, if I'm in Nashville next year, I'd definitely
everyone's
go say hi.
Nashville's going to be a podcasting meetup with a side of Bitcoin.
With a little bit.
Jesus Christ. We got Adam C, 1999.
The podfather himself.
V4V music is not a replacement for the music industry. It's an entirely new opportunity that is wide open. 10,000 sats sent using Fountain.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, he says quite a lot on the both podcasting 2.0 and Boostergram Ball. It's kind of green. What's the terminology for greenfields? Yeah, it's kind of like untouched grass. There's you can freedom. You can do whatever you want. There's an opportunity that no one's taken there. And that's kind of the feeling I got. Once again, I said this today as well. I'm so all in on V for V, and with Ainsley, it's like incredible that she basically got the concept of it in over like a couple of week period. It took me like 2 years.
Actually, I like Adam's take here on, and I like that probably the new field, the green field. I think I was thinking about it more so last time we talked about it about how is it affecting the brown field? How is it affecting the existing platform? How are we moving around? But it's a good call out. It's almost even change the name. It's not even music industry. It's something else entirely. It's like, music collaboration or music for whatever. It's almost its own thing. And if you look at it like that, I think it changes the mentality for me very much so.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like it's how many people are going to do torrenting and streaming of things with Napster. I don't know how many it was, but it that shit's hard. I was doing it in like mid 2000s, and it was still fucking hard and scary. And I was pretty motivated.
I do remember the scariness. Yeah.
So a lot of people wouldn't have been doing it, but that changed the whole fucking industry. The whole music industry was in an uproar from all of the streaming and stuff that was happening. And so I kind of see this as the same way. Like, you don't need everyone; you just need a couple of people. Got our things falling down around us with the dodgy Queensland heat.
Good thing we don't have a music studio in here, folks, or else our music would be shit. We got another one. Cole McCormick. V for V is an entirely new system that is available for any medium, digital or physical. It's a mindset and a lifestyle. 5492 sat sent using Fountain.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of cool things. So I mentioned it today on the Value for Value show. He's trying out the traditional medium, I suppose, which is going through Twitter and seeing if he can get enough engagement where he would be getting payouts from that. I really want to see how that goes for him with that kind of approach. But he's also knows about V for V, so he's kind of doing both.
That's cool. Yep. Well, look, to be frank, I'm being open here. It's not a meanderings, but I'm looking to do probably a few little ventures with a couple of different companies as well for mere mortals. And it's not advertising. I'm basically just piggybacking off existing infrastructures on their setup to go down different other marketing platforms for us. One, just because, again, it's fun. But two, also to try to combine the streams. I like the whole Gary Vee style in Web3 in terms of you kind of have to connect it down to Web2 or at least the existing marketplace. If you're selling something, like I'll give you an example. You just recently did a shoe collaboration with Reebok. So if you've got a particular thing in Web3, you get the Web2 shoe essentially, and you get that delivered, and there's partnerships in that. I want to try and do that. A bit more partnerships to maybe enhance the connectivity to value for value in different ways. We're playing around with that. So
okay, first I'm hearing of it as well.
Yeah. This is definitely fresh off Juan's. Now he's finished being sick. I've had at least 20 business ideas.
Good.
So
Very
that's
good.
how it works. And finally, but not of least, this is Nick, and this is Nick
Molster from Fountain.
From Fountain. Okay, I was like, is this the Nick?
Yeah, Nick
with the Nick. And he sent 7777 sats using Fountain, of course. What else are going to use? Great episode, guys. To be fair, to SoundCloud, premium subscription revenues get distributed to the artists you listen to. Not exactly value for value, but a much fairer system than Spotify, where your money is still just going to Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, and Justin Bieber, even if you're not listening to them.
And he sends a Striper boost there of 7,777. Look, this is the kind of things that are so helpful to know and kind of definitely pull me back. Because fuck me, I talk some shit about.
Well, this is. I mean, reading through this, and I'm glad we had the conversation because it was interesting. I think in the conversation and in follow-up ones, it kind of pulled you off the extreme end, but it's also pulled. I wouldn't say it would be the extreme other way, but it pulled me into more knowledge of it and going, okay, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And honestly, shit, if this is the podcast that we're doing and it's helping people have that conversation, fuck yes, is what we're doing the bloody podcast for.
Yeah,
to actually have that. Love seeing all the messages this time around on the Boostgrams. That was awesome.
Yep, thank you. No PayPals as of yet. The only transaction there was actually my transaction to buy Hinge. So
to verify it. So it's reduction.
So
it's a loss.
It's a reduction.
It's a loss. Thank you. Please help us out to get Karen back off a loss. Okay. Let's get into just a little bit of fun. There's this particular document that I found, and I want to open it up to see if you've got any stuff that you want to talk through. It was it's on GQ magazine here in Australia, although GQ is a global one. And it says, your guide to modern dating terms, soft launches, beige flags, and zombieing. Have you heard any of those things?
Okay, no, but I did have written down here love languages, attachment styles, and there's a whole bunch of other things I was going to bring up. So,
okay,
yes.
So this might be a transition. I'll talk to the silly stuff, and then we can get to some of those ones. So This massive bloody freaking article, but it was talking to a few things in relationships that, again, we're talking about day and age right now, modern dating terms, and honestly, there was quite a few of this, man, that I had no idea what they were. I had no idea what they actually meant. Some of them were pre-existing, so I wanted to just kind of raise them for the world at large, just to see how many of me Immortalites, you listening to this, how much it means to you, how much it means to you, Karen. You're more involved, I guess, in the dating and trying to find the relationships right now than I am.
Yeah.
Have you heard of, so we all know red flags?
Yep.
Fine. Have you heard of beige flag?
No, I haven't heard of a beige
Right.
flag.
So I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to say for sure, if people are using beige flag terminology, you're going to get it a few times. I swear to God you will. It's just who you are as a person. Beige flag means it's an indicator that someone is boring or basic. I swear some people are going to be. So if you're here saying, hey, this person's a bit of a beige flag, it means that they've got some boring aspects. So not everything. So it's not related to everything, like you as a human. Yeah. It's, he gives me a beige flag when he does this, this, and this. And I was like, shit. I could see that being used quite a bit.
Gotcha.
Breadcrumbing.
No.
Okay, here's another one for you guys. I'm just going to say the ones as well that I didn't know. The act of giving just enough of affection without committing to a relationship.
Okay.
And so this is an interesting one. So I think if you're breadcrumbing, if you're only just giving enough attention, I think it's a good pointer that you don't want a romantic long-term relationship with that person. I feel, and you would know as well, I think most people lights, when you meet someone or you interact with someone and you really like them and you straight away could potentially see a little bit of, you're not going to be breadcrumbing. You might do it from some sort of strategy or some other purpose, but you don't want to. You do not want to do that. You want to like interact with them straight up, heaps of times. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Catfishing, codependency.
Love bombing would be another one.
Love bombing's in here.
Probably something like that. Yeah,
Riz is in there. How about cuffing season? Now, I guess we've heard it in other terms, but this is, heading into the colder months, and so you just want to stave off loneliness. So you just find someone, and they call it cuff season. Again, I don't know how that affects. Yeah. So what it does
must be something to do with handcuffing, right?
Maybe there's ghosting, there's love bombing, but the one that this one in particular, I wanted to get your opinion on it. They call it fubbing or phone walling.
There you go.
And it's when someone is using your phone, when you use your phone to snub someone, particularly when you're in an intimate setting. Is that a killer for you, romantic relationship wise? Like if you're out in a dinner or something and you're having a conversation and they're like, whoop, phone, and they're just doing whatever else for
if they're fubbing
30%.
That's not good.
Yeah, okay. Fubbing's not a good thing?
No,
yeah, okay.
No, I'm not involved with that.
No ball. Rain checking, red flag. Riz, of course. Sapiosexual, someone who finds intelligence attractive. Yeah.
Yeah, look, so there's all of these things. Even on Hinge, there is, you can choose, I've seen some people, pansexuals, demisexuals, a fair few bisexuals, things like that. I don't really know what those mean. My brother's tried to explain some of them to me once upon a time, and so I was like, I kind of get it, but I don't. But with all these sorts of things, and I mentioned a couple before, and I actually had a pretty big talk with my brother last night about attachment styles, and he was telling me about this sort of thing, and I was like, okay, yeah, interesting. I did mine, and I'm apparently something avoidant. I can't remember. Repressive avoidant. I don't know. But the thing with all of these was like they all sounded bad. It was like
there wasn't any positives.
Yeah, it was like anxious or avoidant were the kind of two spectrums of it, and then the other spectrum was also two negative sort of things. Okay. And I was like, well, I mean, you can put it that way if you want. You could probably put a positive spin on it. And I was thinking about this, the 5, the love languages, the 5 different things.
Just quickly on the attachment style. Mm-hmm. Was it worth doing? If so, what was it?
Yeah. So it's just like a little online test you can do, and it'll tell you what these.
What did you Google? Just attachment style.
Yeah, just attachment style test or something. Okay. It'll come up. The thing with all of these is, I used to be very dismissive of them. All of these sorts of things, all of these changes in language, I'd be like, do I need fubbing as a thing to make it into my dialect? Yep. Probably not. What I'm starting to appreciate more is they're ways of just expressing something and trying to get essentially the same context or the same concept across, which I'd never really appreciated before. So, my analytical engineering mind same concepts being applied to artsy girl mind, I'm going to use language which just isn't going to be helpful. And so knowing some of these sort of things, I was going, okay, all right, I kind of get why you would talk about this. It feels very horoscopy because it's a kind of catch-all thing. So, I'll see if I can bring it up quickly. My results of the test. So let's see here. So this was it's so random because it was like from Athias Gibson. It's like, okay. So I'm dismissive avoidant. So fuck, like, doesn't that just sound awful? Like, geez, I must be a terrible human being.
I was going to say that they probably customized it. This is like an automated email, but the guy probably customized
he saw
it.
my results.
He was like,
oh shit.
Fuck. He's like, we normally do it in 2D, but yours is 3D, and it's a new statistical measurement. You've fallen off the cliff on the statistics. Thank you very much for shifting. You've shifted the gradient. The whole bell curve is now wrong.
Yeah.
You're off the bell curve.
His whole thing is wasted. I broke the system. And so it's like, you secretly crave connection, but it often feels too overwhelming. Close relationships can be challenging because intense emotions can feel very overwhelming. To get your needs for connection met by things rather than people. This means that you're probably analytical, logical, and practical when making decisions. All of these things. It's like, okay, that's me. They're very vague. This is the thing with horoscopes. Yep. Basically, all horoscopes are, you're going to get surprised. Something,
it's a catch-all.
Unexpected encounter. And this is kind of what I was arguing with my brother. Was just saying, these things are fine, but they're just used so nichely. You're going to have it for like this one, and he kept on coming up with like, what if there's two options. You're either the type of person who you have like 5 days away from your girlfriend or 3 days or something, and you see her again and you're all over her and you need more connection and you're searching for it, or you're the type where you kind of see her and they're like, and she's like that to you, and you're like, oh, I don't know, like, whoa, Nelly. And I was going like, this attachment style thing is great for that one specific context, that one thing. Yes, awesome. You're this type of person in this scenario, but then you can just think of another scenario which is slightly different, and it's you behave differently. So yeah, all of this sort of stuff. I was just going, I kind of get them, and if you type in types of romantic relationships into Google, there's just on Google Images, there's the friendship, significant other, family. There's the 4 type of loves, which is friendship, unconditional, blah blah blah. There's the 4 types of relationships: the dramatic couple, the the conflicted couple, the social couple, the partner focused couple. You can go through so many of these sorts of things, and I was just, it's interesting to know these things, all the lingo as well, but how much does it help in deciphering, like, is any of this really going to help me find a partner better
and this is romantic. So the whole premise for this particular conversation today was about finding a romantic partner. Around keeping a romantic partner, I'd say, hey, it's more important. It is more important to know. So obviously knowing it a precursory, probably it's good to have. Yeah. It's definitely helpful when you're in relationships because, cut through it all, it's 2 things: meaning and expectation. As in, the meaning is understood, right? When you're talking to, the opposite individual, your partner, maybe they're similar, maybe they're not, but at least it's if one, the meaning in the words that they're choosing to use. If you're an engineering mind, it's very different to a creative mind. And so if they're saying, I want to be connected, maybe connected to you means I talk to you once a week, and for them connected, it's I talk every hour you reply, right? It's different meanings to connection. So it's, again, all of that is to probably help in meaning, which also equates to, so it can be slightly different expectation. And it's not your expectation in romantic relationships or long-term relationships. And this is, I guess, broader. It's their expectation of your behavior in that particular context. So, the reason someone might disagree with you about a particular something in a relationship is because their expectation of what you were going to do is different than what you did. But if their expectation was matching that, well, then why would they think of it differently, right? And so I think that is applicable. Beforehand, though, before like a romantic relationship, you're having it, to have that, I think it's important enough to just be prepared to have the initial conversations, or at least I would say it would be really important for me, if I was to go forward for a romantic relationship or a life partner, that they had the willingness to have those level of conversations. So it's close to the truth, but it's more specifically be prepared to have more difficult, much more, what I would say is more emotionally intelligent, you could say, or emotionally connected to what people actually want. I think now, at least for myself, if I was single, I would not bother going down any romantic future path with someone who wasn't quite adept or understanding of what they wanted. Like I'm where I am right now, I'm not willing to spend a few years letting them, going through that learning process with me. I'm just not like that. Yeah. If I was 20 years old, it's different because I'm also going through that process.
Yeah.
But I feel with a certain level of maturity comes a certain level of expectation. And so I know if I was with someone who wasn't setting that expectation, and it might not be because, it's probably an unfair expectation of me to be putting on someone who's much younger, if it was someone who was looking to be younger, than what I want right now. So it's very different in that relation, in that that sort of type of category.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a bit of that on my summary, but before we get to that, the last thing I wanted to ask was, is it harder now than it was anytime
to find a long-term partner?
Yeah, because we had this conversation not too long ago, and you were and a couple of other friends were rather pessimistic on the finding, the dating, the relationship type of thing. Maybe you were just pessimistic because you were talking about me. So
easy to do.
which actually honestly made me feel bad, and I didn't enjoy that evening. Part of it was due to that. Part of it was sick and tired. But
I'll share something with you offline. Remind me to tell you.
Yeah, sure. How much of that would you apply to the broader scale things, just in general? Is it harder now to find a relationship or romantic partner?
Yeah, in general, yeah, what leads me to say that is the same thing I just said before about meeting an expectation. I think it is more difficult now to have a clear meaning and expectation than what it might have been previously. Almost because there's more choice than less choice. When you've got less choice about a certain thing, if you pre-internet and you're only meeting the people who are at your school or in the town that you live in or where you go, there's a relatively short amount of people that you're choosing from that you're going to be partners with. And from those, you just make it work because what the hell else options are there? And so your expectations and your meanings are pretty restricted. And so I would assume that 70 years ago, your expectation is, well, you're probably going to date someone and marry someone, have kids with someone, and have a family with someone in the area because that's all you know. And how the hell are you going to get connected otherwise? Very rare. Nowadays, you can as you say, you can set up your app and be connected to Italy from Australia and be like, hey, pay for world travel pass, whatever that's called, passport, Tinder passport or something. You can do that. You can connect with them. All of a sudden, your expectation becomes not 10,000 people in your town, it's 8 billion people, right? And so that explosion of availability then creates, unrealistic expectations, unrealistic, statistically what you actually find. There's a lot of really funny little videos where they go, they'll ask a female, it could be anybody, like, what do you want in a partner? Okay, we want this, you want them to do this, you want them to earn this money. Cool. Statistically, that's 0.01% of the population.
Yeah, nice.
Right? You're not going to find that. Like that's the wrong expectation. But if you're going into the market trying to find, and I'm talking market as like relationship, if you're trying to find that, fucking good luck. You're going to be disappointed a lot. What are you going to be willing to, give up out of it? Or is it just like, that's just the new expectations? I don't know. So I think in general, my take would be it's harder because there's more to the menu. And what you're delivering as part of the, your sampling might now look like shit in comparison to somebody else because they're optimizing for a specific thing that you're not going to be the best in the world at. That's just the reality.
Yeah. This is one where I disagree with that. I think each age has its own challenges. You've obviously talked about one of the big ones here. And the apps, like I was saying, they maximize the differences. So it's probably at this moment, a lot of people will use them, and all people, I don't know, but a fair few people will definitely come out of them being depressed because they're not getting any matches, they're not getting anything, and it's just like the whole world's at my fingertips, and I still can't find someone.
It might be like it's the overwhelming. It's the few who have the overwhelming amount.
Yeah.
And the many who have very few.
Yeah, and then there's the vice versa of those people who have all the options because they're physically attractive, and the apps sort for that. That's human nature. That's the first thing we see, obviously. That also probably isn't great for them, and you can go into like Jordan Peterson talking about the skewed ratios at universities, and the top males there getting all the girls, and how that's not helpful for society, and also not helpful for society that the guys who maybe would have had a chance before, they're in this super competitive environment, blah 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 blah. I think that's definitely a thing, but I look back and I go, is this harder than post World War One or post World War Two, where I don't know what percentage of the male population of the viral ability to have kids sort of age, 20 to 50, a large portion of that just got fucking wiped out. And then so there's just this huge gender imbalance between the men and women. Is that going to make it harder? Exactly the same scenario, basically. Men now have a lot more power because they have way more choice, or the ones who survived, and women's is diminished. Okay, how about women getting into the workplace? Completely changes dynamics of how much people are meeting. Maybe that empowers women a bit more. Now they don't have to make choices, so jumps it back up for them or something. It's not like it's a game, just saying these changes happen, or industrial revolution, everyone moving to the city, so you're completely uplifted from your family home of 15 generations, and now you're in the city. I think all of those were probably pretty fucking dramatic, and so everyone, I'm sure these exact same conversations were going on those times of being like, how are we going to, it's so much harder, everything's changed, everything's blah 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 blah. And just by and large, I would say technology makes things better, it improves things. It might feel for certain people like it makes it worse for certain people, there's no doubt about that. Better guns equals more people dead in certain cases. But the unlimited choice thing in the book The Long Tail, I think it was Chris Anderson, was talking about how unlimited choice in supermarkets, there's this fallacy where you think there's so much choice of toothpaste, I don't know what to do, I freeze up, and so it actually makes it harder for consumers. But the problem is actually just more discoverability and searchability. If they had more options to refine their search, going like, oh, I actually want toothpaste with a mint blend, no fluoride in it, and no paraffins, and it's Australian. That whittles down the choices to like 2.
Yep.
So this same sort of thing I think can happen in the dating market. It's just imperfect now. If you could whittle down those things, it would maybe make things better.
Yeah.
And then you'd maybe realize like, oh, I actually don't need a man who is earning $1 million a year like those girls were in those kind of viral videos or whatnot.
I agree with that. There is a fallacy in some regards with having more options is like a point of panic, and then but it's a searchability and discoverability problem, except when there is preset market conditions that then also take you out from being even within the searchability and diversification of that. So I'll give you an example. This is very different to talking about relationships, but housing. So to give you an idea, if you now all of a sudden can get more, as in you've got more money to be able to get more housing, you then expose yourself to a different level of availability in things, location-wise, things within the house, whether it's appliances or extras, add-ons, pools, whatever. And then that availability of those things, if you then want them, even if you filter down or go down this discoverability, you'll actually find that because you now have more options or know that there is more options, you still can't find the thing that you want because now you've got to predetermine like, okay, well, because I'm in this price range, I should be finding these things. And you're not, because all of a sudden they're either non-existent or because you don't know fully within the market that actually exists. And one of the problems I see in relations, well, in just dating in general, but there's like relationships, is, and it's coming a little bit to my summary, that by and large, if you think that you have a predetermined amount of, hey, it's just a filter and you just have to filter down. You have to search for it. You'll be able to like go to the right environment. Yes, that's a big part, but I think in today's day and age, there is a big aspect of yes, but there is almost predetermined socio factors in place where yes, you might have these particular attributes or qualities in whoever you're finding, but there's certain expectations that have been put together by society, however way you want to put it, that if you're not meeting maybe the minimum required in that, I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying a lot of people are going to go, well, I've already kicked this person out. Whereas in the past, there wasn't as much as that predetermined because there was just such a fewer amount of choice that didn't even exist. That wasn't a thing of concept to go, well, I'm a comparable to some billionaire over there and every single other attribute is the same. It's like, well, shit, I'll take the billionaire, right? Mm. So, and you could play on different aspects to that as well.
Yeah. I suppose in summary for me, it was a couple of things. One was, finding out what you want is actually really bloody challenging, and it can change rapidly as well. So, I'm planning a trip next year. It's maybe like 6 months until I would maybe be going, something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's probably changing my view on, am I looking for a life partner right at this very moment? Because that's just that will certainly throw up challenges if I do meet a girl who is now, holy shit, this is got a real chance of being the one, that sort of deal. So when you've got that, especially when you're young, it's just so hard to know all of these things. So I think a lot of times it can feel like it's not gonna work out. You're not gonna find it. The other aspect was just I'm personally of the opinion that unlimited choice or more choice is better. And so maybe people aren't finding partners because they actually don't want one. How many people have had kids not because they really wanted a kid, but that's because society expected of them. True. And because if you didn't have a kid or 10 kids back in the 1600s, you're gonna die a pretty quick death when you hit 50.
No one's looking after you.
Yeah, and don't have a shot. So I'm certainly of the opinion that maybe just some of this is it's just the way it works out. And you can see it just in large scale trends in terms of when countries get more richer, that people have less kids. What is that because there's less partnerships for people to have kids, or is it people making active decisions not to have kids? I think it's probably a little bit of both, to be honest.
Or is it because they've got more options to do things with their life that's beyond just the survivability?
And also that, I think there's, I'm personally at this very moment, it's kind of like I'm living in two worlds. There's my high school friends who are all very much down the path of having kids, getting married, long-term relationships, almost all of them. And then there's me and one other friend. And then I'm kind of in the, handstand world with those buddies, and they're all single. Some of them have made it very clear that they don't want to have kids. So, but, still would probably want a partnership, which is totally fine as well. I think that's a great option. And so it's kind of like, it's like living in these two worlds almost of seeing things from this angle and then also seeing things from this other angle. And, is it something that I need to make a choice on? Like I have to choose a path now and stick to that path, or we'll going with the flow and just seeing how things happened. Will that help me find that life partner? I mean, just life circumstances might have changed pretty rapidly in the last month, and I might start talking about that when it starts interfering with the podcast a bit more. But it's certainly like life changes pretty quickly at times, and so finding that life partner can be it's a tricky business.
Okay. Depending on time. There you go. Tricky business. We're going to summarize it with, folks. All right, we're going to leave it there, folks. Unless there's anything else you want to add.
The only other thing I wanted to just there's a apology for the audio for this one. I already know it's going to be a bit of a mismatch. We're having a lot of technical problems at the start. I can already see that in certain areas it's going to be really loud. Certain areas it's going to be really soft.
Good.
And we were both accidentally touching the mic a fair bit, so this is not our highest quality, despite the fucking 40 phone panels that are on the table in front of us. So, despite appearances, which I actually think it does look a little bit better.
It actually does look cool.
With,
yeah, I did kind of like
with
it.
this stuff. It actually hasn't improved the audio.
Yeah.
Next time,
software issue, not hardware issue. Good. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Nathaniel did say another comment, which he said.
Inbound marketing
strategy. Yeah.
Very
You can
good.
apply plenty of business terminologies to relationships.
Yeah.
Look, that won't help too much when you're actually having the conversation, but you can apply them in your own mind and your own ways.
Yeah.
Look, thank you very much for joining again. Once again, this is Musings. We do live 7 p.m. Brisbane Eastern Standard Time, if the technology goes our way. Do we have an idea of what the next topic's going to be at all?
No, I haven't. Sorry, people. Yeah.
I was like, you'll have to just
again.
wait. You have to mystery one for next time. So again, you can support the podcast through the Valley for Valley model, which is there is many ways: time, talent, or treasure. Let's go with the treasure. You can send through, as we just talked about, a boostergram, little bit of satoshis attached with a comment. Look, doesn't really matter the size of the satoshi. Again, we've talked about that. If you get sent through a total of 100,000 sats, you get your own Mere Mortal shirt.
Yep.
And, from that path, wow, that'll be good fun. That'll very much limited edition. They're starting to run out, folks. It's starting to run out. But it's the comments that we really appreciate. It allows us to have conversations, allows us to reflect on things that we've talked about in the podcast. It's just great fun. Send them through.
Yep.
You can go through the time or talent. So again, talent, you can be supporting us through, we've just talked about something.
If they
maybe
have
you've got some
dating
feedback.
insights.
Maybe you've got a girl for Karen or a boy at this point. Who fucking,
Whoa.
we're taking whatever at this point for Karen. Or
That would be funny.
or time, right? So you can be sharing this. You can be sharing it with friends. You can just be spending time talking and listening to this. All of that does support, and all of those we do definitely appreciate. So any of those would be very, very helpful.
There's this clip I seen recently, a day or two ago, of this really attractive streamer girl, and she reads this comment out, and it's like, oh wow, like, would you let me smash or something? And then she goes into this big rant about how men are like, you're too fucking lazy. You come to my house and we can smash, but you're just saying this on the internet.
Yeah, I have
sort of
seen this
thing.
actually. Yeah.
And then, like, long story short, they married and maybe have kids or something, 5 years later. So
there you go. Maybe that's a strategy. That's a strategy. Karen's got a new strategy, folks. So next episode will be the amount of girls Karen hit up on Twitch and which one responded and which one didn't. Insight, none of them did. All right, Mere Mortals, leave it there. Thank you very much for joining. Sorry for those listening live, but for those at home, wherever you are in the world, Mere Mortalites, hope you're well. One out.
Karen out. Bye.
Good.
Good, very good. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop the stream here. And
I could definitely see that audio like fucking jumping up and down and up and down. And I was like, damn.
Dude. Man, like, that was disappointing. I thought I was like fixing it around here, and then I don't know why this section now it just went crazy and was peeking out. Like, what the fuck? We didn't change anything. Oh, lordy. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Nathaniel. Thanks Patricia. I met some more Colombians today at the gym, actually.
Oh, really? At the
Had a
gym?
little chat
Nice.
with them. It was cool. So yeah, peace out. We'll see you later.